What we have been experiencing over these last like 24 hours have absolutely been insane. Okay. This has not happened in a very, very long time. I mean, luckily the guy, did not hit his target, or maybe he did potentially, right? I mean, there's a couple of conspiracies floating around in the air, right? I have no idea what's actually happening, but because he wasn't taken alive, we don't know, right? We will never actually know, right, what actually happened here. But what we do know is, it sounds and looks like Trump is going to now officially win, right? So regardless of how you feel about Trump or how you feel about Biden, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, generally people are going to flock towards the victim in a case, right? And Trump was in fact a victim in this absolute ridiculousness, guys, right? And it's disgusting. This is nothing more than a stain on our nation, guys. I mean, listen, we have been trying to kind of revitalize our image, specifically around the world, after how we conducted the 19 versus how other nations conducted the 19, for example, right? We have absolutely been trying to do that. And now look at this, guys. Right? Now keep this in mind. I lived half the year in Spain, and all I see right now are all of my friends in Spain right now talking and sharing the images of what happened and basically laughing at us for the most part, guys. Right? We're clowns to the rest of the world, guys. How can something like this happen? Specifically with the Secret Service right there. Right, 150 yards. Right, that's about the distance that the person was to Trump himself. If we look over and some of the other like behind the scenes footage that we actually see now, all of us have seen, I'm sure, shows the Secret Service like literally on his right, behind him, on a roof, kind of looking at the area. Right, as soon as the agent that actually had the sniper, as soon as he lifts his head up, then that's when we start hearing all the loud popping noises. Some news organizations are basically saying. As soon as he lifts his head, that's when you start seeing it. I think he recognized it, but a little bit too late. How did you get your job, sir? All right, how did you get your job? I definitely want to point out, guys, I'm absolutely happy that nothing happened to this man, because that's kind of the last thing you need for specifically his supporters. Right? You don't need that. That's not what you need, guys. But either way, we can go ahead and check this video out immediately. You guys sent me 78 videos regarding this topic, and I just had to, again, use a randomizer to pick which one we were going to be looking at, guys, here. But he's about to analyze Trump's security response. I think the response was solid, though. Like how they crowded him and got him off of the stage as quick as humanly possible, even though he wanted his shoe. He wanted his shoe, right? But listen, he made it. And that's something that, again, that's just the most important part of this whole thing, is that he, in fact, made it. He's still going to win, though, right? Just know that right now. Trump is going to be the president, all right? That's just the facts here, guys. No one wants Kamala. Voting for Biden right now, in his specific state of mind, in his being, right? You're voting for her. So either way, decide what you want to decide, but either way, let's go and check this out immediately. Suggestion for your Discord, guys.
Conversation, Evie Pompouras. She's a former Secret Service agent. Evie, good morning. I want to put up this map of the farm grounds where this event was held last night. So the elevated position where the shooter was set up was about 150 yards from the stage where former President Trump was speaking. As a former Secret Service agent, are you surprised that building wasn't better secured?
I am. When you do a security plan, you've got the main security, right? The security perimeter where there's the magnetometers, where people are being checked as they're entering the event. You have the outer perimeter, when you have an open rally like this, you are extremely vulnerable. I've done these. They're probably the most anxious you're ever going to be as an agent, because you're trying to secure all of it. Now,
guys, this guy's response was absolutely way too long.
Adjacent buildings, you do this in urban environments, you do this in a rural environment like this. When you do a security plan, you literally put yourself on stage.
Guys, really quick, look at these parasites here. These individuals here, okay? I got to get that photo so I can sell it to the mass media. These guys right here. Keep this in mind, I've been a photographer for 2 decades, but never any type of paparazzi-oriented things, guys. But this is absolutely disgusting, okay? Like, if he did not make it, these parasites would have photographed this man's body and put it all over the internet.
Adjacent buildings, you do this in urban environments, you do this in a rural environment
Look at
like
this
this.
guy. Look at him, look at him.
When you do a security plan, you literally put yourself on stage and then you look out as if you were the protectee. What can I see? And if I can see it, it can probably see me. Now, for an outer perimeter like that, typically you will have a local law enforcement presence. You'll notice those buildings, and the Secret Service works with local police. You have to think of the Secret Service like they're the conductor of the orchestra. They create the blueprint and design for the security plan. They work with state police, they work with local police, and then they put in resources and assets.
So in the typical scenario, or in the scenario that one wishes would have unfolded, would you have had perhaps a local official secure that roof to make sure the roof is clear, make sure nobody's in the building, and then stand guard there so no one comes in after that clearing?
So we don't know if they did or did not do this.
Yes, but they should have?
I would presume you.
Okay, so she's just making excuses for the failures of the Secret Service. This is what it sounds like here, guys. In fact, there was a security, there was a Secret Service, guys, on top of the roof to the back right of Trump. All right, this and the guy that did this was in the front left for the most part. You should have been able to see that. Okay, I'm sorry, bro. You're making excuses for the failures.
No, if they did or did not do this.
Yes, but they should have?
I would presume you should have a local police presence in that area. Now, could you have put somebody on that rooftop? You could have. The other element is the counter sniper team. So as far as we know, we see a two-man team from the Secret Service side. As we were discussing prior before we started speaking, they are looking at everything. They have to cover 360 degrees. So I know a lot of folks are like, how could they not see this? Yeah. I think one of the issues is if it is a two-man team, think about what they are consistently covering. So local law enforcement, definitely. But again, we don't know if somebody was or wasn't positioned. Now, if there was no coverage there whatsoever.
Yeah, this is the guy right here, the back right. And as soon as he lifts his head,
however, that's going to be an issue. Why weren't those adjacent buildings looked at? They are very close, yes.
And if there was somebody stationed there from local law enforcement outside the building where the shooter was, as you consider the possibilities, how could he have gotten up there?
So as I look at this, and again, just from a preliminary assessment without having all the details, it seems to me what I would presume before the president goes up on stage, they secure the area. There's communication. Essentially, are we good to go? Is he good to get up on stage? I would presume that everything was in the clear. I would think that nobody was on that rooftop. What I suspect, and again, I'm suspecting that after he got up on stage, that's when the shooter took position. There's a little bit of a slant at that rooftop. Also, some of the photos show that he's dressed in colors matching that rooftop and building to camouflage a bit himself. So I'm suspecting he took position after President Trump spoke, then engaged.
It's easy in hindsight to say, oh, why wasn't this done or that done? And let's just acknowledge that as we have this conversation. But it is interesting because there were eyewitnesses who said they were actually positioned kind of outside the rally, but were just listening.
Guys, there was somebody in the crowd. There were people in the crowd. Keep this in mind here. There are people in the crowd who started saying, hey, there's a firearm on the roof over there. That's not a part of this, right? There were people screaming that. The Secret Service didn't see that.
And that they saw the gunman up with the rifle flying around. They were trying to tell some of the local officials that they saw there. Is there a way to communicate? I mean, these are split-second decisions. But, for example, if there had been a state police officer outside on that outer perimeter and someone said, there's a guy up there with a gun, can that message get communicated to Secret Service quickly? Are they all on the same comms?
So really what the issue is, that person that was trying to communicate, were they actually verbally speaking to someone, or were they trying to get somebody's attention? When you're doing these rallies, you're looking at thousands of people. Yeah. How much law enforcement do you have? Do you have one officer or one law enforcement official to what? 1,000? And are they able to get that person's attention? Guys, at the end of the day, too, and I think this is going to come up during the hearing, resources, money, this all costs something. So when you're doing these security advances, you are negotiating. I mean, there are times where I need 75 agents, and it'll come back. It's like, you know what? We don't have the resources or the funds, or we need these folks to be somewhere else. Can you do it with X amount of people? And it's not just the Secret Service. It's going to be law enforcement. Their resources are tapped as well.
So, Evie, quickly, let's talk about the aftermath of the shooting. You see the agents rush the stage, keep the former president on the ground. Then he stands up. What do you see in those images as he pumps his fist to the crowd, exposes himself again, and then moves toward the car?
So if we just break this down, as the shooting is happening, we hear the shots being fired. President Trump goes down, he takes cover, and it's also very likely when you look at that banner, there's like this banner around that stage, that tends to be some type of steel that's there by design for an incident like this so that the protectee can hit the ground and take cover. We see the agents come in now from the sides, and their job is, that's the shift. That's what's called the shift. They come in and they are the armor. They're the ones who are literally going to come around. They're going to secure his body. The goal is now, if any additional shots are fired, they take the impact of those shots. They bring him back down. Now you can hear them too. If you're listening to the audio, you can hear them talking on comms. Is it clear? Are we good to go? Because they want to take him from where he's at and they want to move him to the vehicles. Anytime you're open, and if we look at previous assassinations or assassination attempts, Reagan, JFK, just the most recent ones, always outside, right? Always line of sight issues. So they've got him secure. Once they hear the go, you can go. So I'm assuming for them to get the go, somebody probably told them the threat has been neutralized, right? You're not going to move unless you kind of know what's going on. They pick him up, and you can hear the president. It's interesting, just from a human behavior perspective, you hear the president saying, where are my shoes? Where are my shoes? A lot of people are commenting on, is that an odd thing to say? You also have to think about the stress and impact of what just happened.
It was shock. It was shock.
And he's just, it's a kind of like a very human, simple thing to think of.
You can hear on the radio, too, that they say the shooter is down. So clearly they felt that the threat was neutralized and they could safely move. But as an agent, I mean, the president now with this iconic act of defiance, holding up his fist and literally sticking his neck out into the open again. But if you're an agent right then and there, are you just wishing you could just whisk him off to the car?
Well, I saw that, and I saw that. I can understand why he's doing it from that perspective, but from the other perspective, I'm thinking.
Right, it's purely for the optics.
We know one shooter is down.
Right.
You don't know if there are other shooters. And then the other thing is when you move him to the vehicles, you want to make sure, does he have any other shots within him and check him.
Evie, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Evie.
Hey, all right, guys. I mean, all right. Yeah, I mean, listen, I understand. The Secret Service, for the most part, has to exist because they protect the presidents and ex-presidents and generally the kids of the presidents, etc. Anyone that has close proximity to the actual president themselves, guys, right? Understood. But this is a failure. I hear you. You can say all the things you want to say, bro, but this is a failure, right? The distance was obvious. It should have been obvious because as soon as they recognized it was too late. By the time they realized it was too late. By the time he lifted his head up to look, just to double check that he's seeing what he's actually seeing, it was too late. That's the reality. You got to take that, guys. Right? But this whole incident is, again, I just want to kind of reiterate this here, is this instance gave Trump the presidency. No doubt. But let's go forward. Listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.